Okay,
Yes.
we are out of executive session and ready to move on to additional items as needed. I would need a motion and a second on anything as far as additional business. Or I could state a motion. Why don't I state a motion? Maybe we'll do it that way. I'll make a motion that we approve a one-time supplemental payment of $750 to be paid to all contracted personnel employed during the 2021 school year and return for the 21-22 school year. This excludes the superintendent and treasurer positions.
Kitty, I'll second.
Okay, I made the motion. We have a second from Ms. Pierce. Any discussion, please?
Does there need to be a reason, like because of the COVID aspect put in there?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Kitty,
Maybe just a simple statement saying as a recognition of service during the COVID-19 pandemic. Everybody okay with that adjustment?
How about in appreciation of service under the extenuating circumstances of the not extenuating, but of the difficult circumstances of the pandemic.
for service provided in excess of regular duties during the COVID.
That would, saying that, like the end, like, I would be afraid that former employees.
Yeah,
would try
I
and
think
come
you
back
need,
well,
Yeah, I work for a while.
yeah.
the cleanest sentence I heard was as recognition of service during the COVID-19 pandemic, and then possibly and continued service or something as recognition of
Commitment to the ESC.
and continued commitment to the ESC.
Yes.
And,
Yeah, that makes sense.
and
I'm gonna ask Laura to read that after she finishes.
let's see, okay. To approve a one-time supplemental payment of $750 to be paid to all contracted persons employed during the 2020-21 school year and returning for the 21-22 school year, excluding superintendent and treasurer positions, as recognition of service during the COVID-19 pandemic and continued commitment to the ESC. Should we also say like for the future, or?
I would say, well, they're returning employees that are honoring their contract to return.
Oh, you got it, and returning.
Commitment to the ESC
Here,
or,
returning to fulfill their 21-22 contract.
We've already got returning 2020 or
Yeah.
21-22 in there.
I think that's fine. I do think we need to say to be paid in September of 2021.
they're gonna be paid in a lump sum payment in September 2021.
All right, would you read it one more time for us,
Sure.
Laura?
So nothing changes until after excluding superintendent and treasurer position. As recognition of service during the COVID-19 pandemic and continued commitment to the ESC, period, to be paid in a lump sum payment in September of 2021.
I say that again. I don't like that.
Okay.
The way that reads.
As recognition of service during the COVID-19 pandemic and continued commitment to the ESC.
And for the 21-22 contract year. I think you have to say that.
So to say, and continued commitment to the ESC for the 2021-22 school year.
Or shall we say, and for honoring your contract
What if,
for the 21-22?
I'm sorry,
We're almost getting too wordy here.
I
guys.
agree.
what if it read as recognition of continued commitment to the ESC and services provided during the COVID-19?
I like that.
What we don't want, I think the only thing is that
We
makes
don't
it look like we have to go back and pay people or
But anything saying as recognition of service during COVID-19.
for returning employees in recognition of return of employees returning for the 21-22 academic year.
I think we're making it too hard.
The only reason for putting the COVID thing to start with when I mentioned that was just so you can eventually use that to pay.
I agree with you.
Funds, but
I agree with you.
how you keep it to the ones that are willing to stay, you're gonna narrow that down. So you have to go to the prior ones that left.
Read what you have one more time, Laura,
Okay.
please.
As recognition of service during the COVID-19 pandemic and continued commitment to the ESC for the 2021-22 school year.
A one-time.
Yeah.
supplement.
It-
I
it's a
think that
one-time-
sounds fine.
It's a one-time
that's what it
supplemental. Okay. To be paid in a lump sum payment in September 2021.
That's my understanding.
I think that, read the whole thing one last time, please. So everybody hears it one more time.
To approve a one-time supplemental payment of $750 to be paid to all contracted persons employed during the 2020-21 school year and returning for the 21, 22.
That have returned.
You want that have returned?
Yes, because that clearly.
But it says
delineates-
and returning.
Okay.
So and returning for the 21-22 school year, exclude superintendent and treasurer positions as recognition of service during the COVID-19 pandemic and continued commitment to the ESC for the 21-22 school year. To be paid in a lump sum payment in September of 2021. I was just gonna look at the September calendar. Possibly I can give you an actual date.
Since I made the motion, I'm fine with that. Mary seconded it, fine with that? Okay,
Would,
Any-
okay, so how would you feel about appreciation instead of recognition?
I think that's a good term, good word too.
I see them
Well,
as,
semantics, but.
yeah, it's one's as good as the other, my thoughts.
What do you think, Ron?
It's
Either
one thing to say you did it, it's another thing to say thank you.
That's true. We can change it to appreciation.
All right, one word.
Well, maybe not though, because of how you'd eventually fund it from the other money that you have. As far as how the auditor type people would look at this.
Yeah.
Appreciation really should be the word you would use.
Yeah. I personally, I'm good with the language that was last read and last in the motion. I think recognition
I
makes
think in a
more
letter
sense.
that notification to staff, we can recognize
You're right,
our
thank you
appreciation.
there.
Put the fuzzy stuff in the letter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay.
all right, roll call, please.
Mr. Bartlett,
Yes.
Mr. Fowler,
Yes.
Ms. Owens,
Yes,
Ms. Pierce,
Yes,
Mr. Stevens.
Yes. All right. We also have a second item and a motion. I'll make it and then we'll go from there. Motion to approve the following communications supplemental for ESC-based positions excludes all district hires. Amounts will be prorated for any employee less than 1.0 FTE. The director would be 75 per work month, supervisor 75 per work month, principal $50 per work month, and coordinator $50 per work month. And after where it says excludes all district hires, this is for the 2021-22 contract year.
Can I make one suggestion? Instead of saying supplemental for ES-based positions, I think it needs to say ESC-based administrative positions. Because that opens up, where's my stipend
Yeah.
as a regular employee?
Well, and those are all administrative positions,
Right.
so, and that makes sense. So I've made a motion. Do I have a second?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Fowler. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Bartlett,
Yes.
Mr. Fowler,
Yes.
Ms. Owens,
Yes,
Ms. Pierce,
Yes.
Ms. Stevens.
Yes. I need a motion to adjourn.
No reports or anything.
Oh, yeah, I'm
you
sorry,
have-
any reports?
In terms of reports, we
Sorry, thank you.
have continued to have no new cases of COVID. We opened up a few weeks ago, or a week ago, week and a half ago, no new cases, which has been great. I think people have been respectful if they do not have a vaccine of wearing a mask. Procedures have continued in terms of requiring people to click in, to be buzzed into the building, so that's gone well. I think I had indicated that we were taking over the use of the Lycopolis building last week. The Amanda Clear Creek, the Prep for Success, and the preschool classrooms at Lycopolis all moved. So that move, James led that whole process. That was smooth, efficient, and I think people worked their behinds off to get all of that moved. And so we're gearing up to be ready to go for the fall in that building. Regarding hiring, we have only a handful of positions at this point in time that we need to fill. We have an intervention specialist position, high school position in the MAI classroom at Amanda Clear Creek. We now have, we will have on the next agenda, unfortunately, the school psych that we hired for Liberty Union Thurston has resigned. She has had a family issue that's required her to relocate. And we are currently down 3 school sites in the county. So it's a bigger issue than that, because on our access call last Wednesday, when I did a survey of the only 6 of the 10 superintendents were on that call. Amongst just those 6 superintendents, there's the need for 16 school sites.
wow.
16. So that's a fraction of the districts in the state. So I have spent a bit of time engaging Ohio State University, the National School Psych Association, the Ohio School Psych Association. We are looking at potentially having to bring in vendors. So the market is such that there are multiple barriers and constraints to the pipeline being filled with people. I have learned that of the institutions in Ohio, the National Association has accreditation body for school psych programs, has very strict constraints in terms of ratio of faculty to students. At the state level, there are only 100 paid internship spots that are made available every year, and they get divvied up amongst all the institutions of higher education in Ohio. And in addition to that, the number of folks who are being, there's no expedited or easy way for somebody to shift field. So let's say if you have a master's degree in psychology and you decide you want to become a school psych, you basically start all back over at ground zero. And so I will be working actively to advocate for some changes. Ohio State University, how many students do you think they accept a year, have spots for a year for school psych? School psych is a max. They've been as low as 4 a year, depending on what they're. So there is a huge gap between what we knew was a problem prior to COVID. Now with COVID, the exodus of people out of the field, people being nervous about entering, leaving jobs and going back to school or going to school to attain additional credentials, and the arbitrary constraints of how many they could even accept. And so this is a huge problem. I've also contacted the state board. Antoinette Miranda, who used to be faculty and the former chair of the program at Ohio State, is now on the state board. I've known her for 20-some years, 27 years. How old is my son? 28 years. And so this is something that I'm spending quite a bit of time on right now. You cannot operate without a school psych. And I need a school psych to even build other supports around, for example, a teacher on special assignment or utilizing one of our other supervisors to help with the coordination of non-school psych licensed activities like surveys, observations, etc. So I'm just putting this on the table. We're having challenges filling that position. And then the other position that we're working on filling is the BCBA. As you know, last time Jack Schlabel had resigned to accept a position in Olentangy Local Schools, which is right near where he lives, which we understand. But BCBAs are currently hard to find as well. So that relative to former years, we have very few hires we need to make. The hires we need to make are highly critical. So this is going to be a challenge this summer. So I just wanted to give you that update. But we're gearing up and moving forward for next year. Any questions?
Any questions for Marie?
Thank you.
Nope.
Here. Gary, you started to say something. It's fine.
No, I said no questions.
Okay. The next item then, thank you, Marie, is the Eastland Fairfield Career Center.
We had adult graduation last night. I went, and tonight we have Aspire graduation, and then that'll be the end of all the graduation programs. I was sharing with Ron, like it was a girls, they had 3 speakers, and one girl spoke last night, was 39 years old. She's got 3 kids, 2 teenagers and a 6-year-old, I think she said. She's had 15 different kinds of jobs. She's been in business herself. She's done bookkeeping for other people. But she said, at 39, I decided I had no retirement and I've had no health insurance. I had to buy my health insurance for me and my kids, especially now that she was a single parent because she was divorced a couple of years ago. And so her speech was very good, and she's doing very well in dental assisting, and her dentist that she's working for is going to send her on to school for some training of something that they need. And then another girl spoke who was actually late getting there because she had no child care to take care of her child to come for the graduation. This person didn't show up, was supposed to take care of her child. So she said, I had to take my child to a neighbor. And then she talked about, the struggle she's had just getting her program. She's in welding. She was in welding.
So in that vein, I have had some conversations with Kim, and we're going to continue the conversation about potentially working collaboratively to create a daycare center, preschool at the Fairfield campus.
Yeah,
And potentially at Eastland as well, but she has been open to having conversations to think outside of the box about how we serve folks, so.
the biggest group to graduate last night was cybersecurity.
Oh,
Really,
Most people, there was probably 20 some in that group.
interesting.
New field.
That was it with them. Well, go to Aspire tonight, see how that goes.
We'll go around. Gary, anything to add?
No, nothing for me.
Charlotte?
Nothing, thank you.
Ron? Mary? All right, well, I jumped the gun earlier, but I apologize. We need a motion and a second to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Bartlett. Second by Mr. Fowler. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bartlett,
Yeah.
Mr. Fowler,
Yes.
Ms. Owens,
Yes.
Ms. Pierce,
Yes.
Mr. Seaman.
Yes. Thank you all for your input today. I think sometimes we do our best when everyone has an opportunity to be involved, so thank you.
Thanks. We'll see you.
All right, take care, Gary. Best wishes.